The moment the first confirmed case of a zombie infection hits American soil, everything changes. And it changes faster than anyone could imagine. Imagine waking up to emergency alerts flashing nonstop on your phone, news anchors struggling to keep calm as they report on a virus that turns people into mindless, flesh-hungry creatures. Streets once bustling with life now flood with panicked crowds, sirens blare nonstop, and military convoys roll out in a desperate attempt to contain the chaos. But containment is already slipping through everyone's fingers. This isn't a movie or a game, it's a catastrophic event that overwhelms every system America depends on, from hospitals and law enforcement to government agencies and supply chains. The very infrastructure that powers the country, designed for stability and growth, becomes its greatest weakness. The truth is that America's vast population, sprawling cities, and interconnected networks that usually keep society running smoothly become perfect conduits for the rapid spread of infection and panic. In this video, we'll explore exactly how the nation's collapse would unfold, breaking down the critical moments when cities fall, when systems fail, and when society as we know it begins to crumble. From the initial failure to identify and contain the outbreak to the overwhelming surge in infected individuals, to the desperate military efforts that ultimately fall short, you'll see how quickly the United States could unravel if zombies became real. This is not just a story of the undead rising, but of how fragile even the strongest nations are when faced with a disaster that spreads faster than anyone can react. The initial moments of the outbreak would be marked by confusion and disbelief, as the first infected cases appear seemingly out of nowhere, overwhelming local hospitals that quickly become hotbeds of infection rather than places of healing. Patient zero remains a mystery, slipping through detection as the virus spreads silently through crowded urban centers and public transit systems. Early warnings are either dismissed as hoaxes or misdiagnosed, giving the infection a critical head start. As the number of infected explodes exponentially, government agencies at both local and federal levels struggle to coordinate an effective response. Communication breakdowns and bureaucratic delays allow the virus to outpace containment efforts, while misinformation floods social media, further fueling panic and chaos. Major cities, with their dense populations and interconnected infrastructure, become the first dominoes to fall. New York City's subways transform from transportation arteries into viral super spreaders, while Los Angeles's sprawling freeways become parking lots as terrified residents try to flee, creating deadly bottlenecks that trap both the infected and the uninfected alike. Chicago, Miami, and other metropolitan hubs face similar fates, overwhelmed by the sheer speed of infection and the inability of emergency services to respond effectively. As panic spreads, critical infrastructure begins to falter. Power grids, strained by overuse and sabotage, flicker and fail, plunging entire neighborhoods into darkness. Communication networks become unreliable or silent, cutting off vital information and isolating communities. Supply chains for food, water, and medical supplies break down as transportation networks collapse, leaving hospitals and shelters dangerously undersupplied. Medical facilities, already swamped, lose staff as many fall ill or abandon their posts, turning what should be safe havens into death traps. The military is quickly mobilized to contain the outbreak and restore order, but even their response faces severe limitations. Urban combat against hordes of infected proves costly and chaotic, and many military bases themselves come under siege or are cut off. Martial law is declared in major cities, but the growing civil unrest and breakdown of law enforcement undermine these efforts. Refugees fleeing infected zones overwhelm neighboring areas, spreading the outbreak and causing humanitarian crises on an unprecedented scale. Rural regions, initially spared due to lower population densities, become temporary refuges for some survivors. However, the influx of refugees and limited resources soon transform these areas into new battlegrounds for survival. Isolation and lack of infrastructure make sustained defense difficult, while the psychological toll of watching the country fall piece by piece weighs heavily on those who remain. As the collapse spreads from cities to countryside, the domino effect becomes undeniable. Supply chains nationwide crumble, food shortages become widespread, and government authority disintegrates. Localized factions and warlords rise amid the chaos, filling the power vacuums left by failing institutions. Society fractures as people adapt to the harsh new reality where survival hinges on strength, cunning, and luck, rather than laws and order. In this relentless cascade of failure, the United States as it once was ceases to exist, replaced by scattered pockets of humanity struggling against a relentless, undead enemy, and against each other. The end of America in the face of a real zombie outbreak is not just a story of monsters. It is a sobering tale of how quickly civilization can unravel when the systems designed to protect us falter and fail. As the country falls apart piece by piece, what begins as isolated outbreaks transforms into a nationwide catastrophe that no amount of planning or power can stop. The cities that once thrived become ghost towns, overrun by the infected, and the very systems meant to keep America strong, its hospitals, government, military, and supply networks collapse under the relentless pressure. Survival becomes a fight not just against the undead, but against the breakdown of society itself. The end of America in a real zombie apocalypse isn't sudden. It's a slow, devastating unraveling of everything people once took for granted. So the question remains, if tomorrow the undead truly rise, would you be ready? Or would you become just another victim in the fall of a nation? Because when the monsters walk the streets, the fate of America depends on what we do next.